Buddhism encourages us to reduce craving. How can we live without craving? This is a very interesting subject. Those who have read my booklets, Is it wrong to be ambitious? I think can understand certain aspects. That booklet is out of print. We had to reprint. So some people maintain some sort of misconceptions regarding this because they cannot understand the real meaning of this word craving. The Buddha has used the Pali word tanha. So in English we say either craving or desire. But we have to define in various ways the nature of our craving, the purpose of our craving, or the intention. Now these are the things we have to consider. It is true that we cannot live or we cannot do anything without craving. There must be some sort of craving. Otherwise, there is no life. Even in the case of the Buddha, he too had this craving. But we don't use the word craving. We can say ambition. He had a great ambition to achieve something. Then that achievement is for what purpose? Is it for his own benefit or for his own freedom or enjoyment or liberation? Then we can narrow the vast meaning of this word ambition. We developed ambition for our own benefit as well as for the benefit of others, for the happiness of others. A husband developed his ambition for the benefit of his family members, not only for his own benefit. People developed their ambitions for the benefit of the whole country or the nation or for the whole world. And this is the way how we have to extend our ambition without increasing our selfishness through this ambition. But many people develop this ambition with their selfishness. That is the area where they make mistake. Now let us take our day-to-day life. Can we live without craving? We want to eat, we want to work, we want to earn, we want to drink. We like to have some sort of entertainment to satisfy our human emotion. And we develop our craving to satisfy sex. These are the areas where people developed their craving. Now, can we regard them or this kind of craving, different kind of craving, as immoral or sinful or bad? We cannot. We cannot say this kind of ambitions or craving goes against our religious way of life. It is not against. These are the things that we have to clarify. Arahantas, Buddhas and Pacceka Buddhas also eat food, drink, soft drink, and they also like to relax, to sleep, and they also can see the beauty. When they happen to see beautiful things, they never say, oh, it is ugly. I have told you an incident. Well-known musicians in India at that time, one day came to see the Buddha, and he started playing his musical instrument and singing in front of the Buddha. The Buddha was listening attentively. In the end, the Buddha said, remarkable, wonderful. Your tune, your voice, I have been watching and listening. The harmony is very, very advanced. So he appreciated that man's singing. He did not say, oh, this is a holy place, you cannot come and sing, you cannot come and play musical instrument here. Here, this is more than enough for you to understand. Although they are holy, perfect, enlightened religious teachers, they know how to appreciate worldly things for the benefit of worldly people. So they did not abuse them and insult them, saying, oh, this goes against our holy life. Here we have to differentiate the attitude of a worldly man and attitude of a man who has renounced. Although they appreciate, they do not develop their attachment towards this. This is the difference. But all the others develop their attachment. So you cannot do this. You cannot practice this detachment as long as you remain as worldly people. Unless you make up your mind through your understanding and experience the reality of this kind of entertainment. In other words, this kind of entertainment cannot contribute anything for our spiritual development. But for our worldly life, these entertainments are very, very important. But never goes against religion. Now, all the other religions talk a lot about worldly gains. This has become part of their religion. And Buddhism and Hinduism talk more about renunciation. And some religions do not accommodate this belief that renunciation is very important for our spiritual development. And celibacy or keeping away from sex life is very important for a man to develop his religious way of life. They do not accept this because their belief is God created man and woman, male and female. God created organs in the physical body, and God created sexual urge. So anybody who goes against this act against the will of God. And this is the way how they condemn those who observe celibacy or who keep away from sex life. To them, there is no religious value at all. But Buddhism and Hinduism and Jainism and so many other isms also very highly praise, point out the advantage or the development of spiritual way of life by keeping away from these pleasures. So our question is, Buddhism encourages, but Buddhism never say you cannot. You cannot develop your desire, your craving, your ambition, but advise us to reduce. This is the word that we use here. By realizing what sort of hindrances, obstructions, difficulties, worries we had to come across. It is true. Those who like to have peace in their mind, relaxation, always try to keep away from worldly life, from worldly entertainment. To them, these things create more disturbances, nuisance to many of them. But to many others, these things are very important, otherwise they feel their life is very dull, no meaning. So they need. But the thing is, they must know how to organize, how to entertain themselves without violating, without disturbing, or without adopting any kind of immoral or cruel method. This is the margin here from the Buddhist point of view. Since you have not renounced, the other day, last Friday, I have explained the real meaning of renunciation. And also I mentioned the way of life, how they have divided into 4 periods in ancient society. There is one period, the later part of their life, having seen and experienced the real nature of worldly life. They decide. The time has come for us to curtail, to reduce these activities, because in the end we won't gain anything. Only frustrations and unsatisfactoriness. We have to realize this. But when you are very young, if you try to observe with so much of difficulties, you try to abstain from this and from that and this, even then not wholeheartedly, either by force or pretend or under certain circumstances. Otherwise, It is a very difficult thing. We must have some sort of experience during our previous birth. There is one Jataka story, previous birth story of the Buddha. Once he was in a Brahma world, Brahma realm. I think you know very well. In Brahma world, there is no sex formation because they were not interested. Since they have developed this detachment through their meditation, and rebirth take place in one of these Brahma world to lead a very peaceful life. Because sex urge is the strongest energy in any living beings, not only human beings. Sometimes animals are worse than humans. So, he was in Brahma world. After that, again rebirth has taken place as a human being, as a man. But he was not interested to get married. But only son. His parents always requested him to get married. Just to please them, he said, okay, married, lived together as husbands and wife. But they never had sex in their life. But they had mutual understanding, love, without any discrimination. Because of that experience. And when you study the mentality of human beings today, some people are crazy only for that. To them, sex life is the only purpose of life. Otherwise, no any meaning. But some others are not very interested. But even then, sex urge is there, not wiped out, not eradicated. Under certain circumstances, can arouse. So, the more they keep away, the more easily they can reduce this sexual desire. It is a craving. Then, craving for our food is important. Buddhism never say it is wrong. Craving for when we are thirsty, we must have a drink. That craving also not a sin, not a bad karma. And when we like to have some sort of relaxation through some sort of entertainment, it is not sinful or harmful from the Buddhist point of view. When they like to have sex, when that sex desire is there, so they must have that liberty to experience their sex life in decent way, without adopting any immoral method or without violating accepted basic principle by the mankind. In different countries, people have different ethical code and moral code about their marriage and sex life. In Asian countries, even in Japan, China, Korea, India, they have different moral code. When you go to the West, they have different method. So it depends on how the society accept or to say whether it is right or wrong when they think unbiasedly. So when you study the Buddha's teaching, Buddha has given very, very liberal explanation regarding this sex life. But even then, in various other discourses, he pointed out this particular issues, craving, can become the biggest problem in our life, which can create enormous problem throughout our life and hereafter also. Now, what is the difference now? Craving that we develop for our food, craving we develop through our sex. Is there any difference? The food also, if we gain by adopting a wrong method, it is wrong. By stealing, bluffing, swindling, you can gain your food and it is wrong. Sex also, by force or by bluffing or swindling or various other immoral methods, you may adapt to experience your sex. But without adapting any kind of immoral or indecent method, if you experience sex, satisfy your craving for your sex, cannot regard as a sin at all. Then why Buddhism emphasizes especially on this particular craving? The reason is this. When we indulge our pleasure through certain objects by using some of our senses, we gain objects through our eyes, experience and develop our craving. We gain sound, either music or anything, whatever we like. We entertain and we develop our craving. Again, we smell certain perfume, we experience and develop our craving. Then we eat something, drink something, experience the taste. It is a craving. Then all the four. Then the body. We like to embrace certain things and we experience some sort of feeling, sensation. Through the physical body, we experience that pleasure and develop our craving. All the five. But when we experience individually by using some of these five senses, we cannot indulge all the five senses together at once. You understand? When you eat, you cannot entertain all the five senses. But when you experience sex life, you entertain all the five senses. You never thought this. In Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha has said this. Remember, he was a young prince, he was a husband and he was a father. Then he says, Nahang bhikkhave anyang eka rupampi samadupassami yathaidang bhikkhave itti rupam. Itti rupam bhikkhave purisassa cittang pariyadaya tittati. All the five senses, he says, he has never seen any other object in this world which can attract man's craving, attachment, desire, anxiety, to entertain all the five senses other than a woman figure. On the other hand, in return, the Buddha says, there is no any other object in this world which can entertain all the five senses of a woman other than a man. That is the reason why when people become addicted, surrendered to sex life, they can forget everything in this world because they can entertain all the five senses together at once. Then can forget religion, forget parents and the family and the friends and the religion, everything they can forget. They can forget their food also. This is the danger. That is why religion emphasizes this. When a person develops his too much craving towards sex life, he misses the real purpose of life. Because that is not the only purpose. This is a temporary satisfaction they experience, mostly psychologically or emotionally. One scholar has said, the biggest mistake in this world is fall in love. There is no any other big mistake. Yes, it is true. Why do people kill each other? Because of this. Why do people commit suicide? Because of this. Why do they beat and attack each other? Because of this. Why do they become enemies? Because of this. Why do they hate and fight every day? Because of this. So one who is free from this, no such problem. So we had to balance this. But those who know how to handle wisely, they can experience worldly pleasure without disturbing their life, without disturbing others, without polluting their mind. Again the Buddha says, some people believe that the Buddha always talk against marriage or sex. No. He says, if a man can find out a suitable wife, very understanding and suitable wife, that man is a blessed one, very fortunate one. Because married life is to share pain and pleasure both. But today people are ready to share only pleasure but not the pain. When the pains come, they run away. But there are some people are ready to share the husband's pain and the wife's pain. Then the other person can reduce 50% of pain because the husband shares the other 50%. That means develop confidence. So that confidence is very important. If a husband can live in such a way, developing confidence, complete confidence in her mind, and that wife can reduce lot of suspicion, insecurity, fear, and so many other weaknesses because she never suspects the husband, and vice versa. This is the way how they have to share. And that married couple, the Buddha says, very, very fortunate. If Buddha goes against marriage life, why does he say like this? There was a couple during the Buddha's time, Nakula Mata and Nakula Pita, father and mother, very kind, very generous, very religious, old couple. Everybody loved them. I think at the age of 90, I think over 90, one day they visited the Buddha. Then the Buddha asked, "How do you feel?" Then they said, "Only problem is our physical weakness. Our hands and legs and the physical body are very, very weak now. Besides this, we have no worries, we have no misunderstanding. We have led our married life for so many years. We never had any misunderstanding, heated argument, never." Then the Buddha says, "Introduce this couple to the audience. You also must follow this couple. See how happy they are. No complaint whatsoever." Then he said, "When your physical body is sick, don't allow your mind also to be sick. Then you can maintain healthy life. Although physically you are sick, maintain cheerfulness, confidence in your life without grumbling, accusing, cursing, and usually when we grow old, for nothing we grumble. Whatever we give, they grumble because they cannot satisfy with anything. So we had to cultivate our way of life in such a way, thinking one day all our physical strength, energy, and features and complexions and everything will be faded away. At that time, we must have more courage. We must have more confidence. Then we can lead a peaceful life without harboring jealousy or enmity. The mind can become very peaceful and life can become a peaceful life, meaningful." So now, craving for worldly things is not sinful. Then why do we talk? Why do we advise? Reduce your craving. The main purpose is to reduce our selfishness. Then how to start? How to reduce our craving? To reduce your craving, you cannot throw away everything whatever you have. There is no such teaching. To reduce your craving, just ignore all those things. No. When you refer to the Buddha, in Vyaggapadya Sutra, we can see Arakha Sampada, Utthana Sampada, Kalyana Mittata, Samajivikata, the 4 kinds of advice the Buddha has given to us. Arakha Sampada. It is your duty to protect what you have earned without neglecting, without wasting. So if Buddhism says, give up your craving, how can the Buddha say it like this? It is your duty to protect what you have earned. Don't waste, don't neglect. Utthana Sampada. Again he says, without wasting your valuable human life, try to do something within your capacity, your skill, your ability. You can do something. Don't waste your time. Again, why did the Buddha say like this? Do something to gain something, to earn. This is very important for you to lead your life. Kalyana mitrata. When you live in your society, you must know how to associate with others. You must have this knowledge. Otherwise, people make use of you, regard you as a fool, take the advantage of you. Don't try to be too good. Remember this. If you are too kind, too honest, too generous, and tolerate everything, you can see the fun, how people make use of you. They regard you either as mad people or foolish people. There is no place for you in this society. Here we are talking the worldly life. When you live in this world, you must know how to adapt, how to adjust yourself. Some are cunning, some are cruel, some are wicked, some are selfish, some are narrow-minded. Then they know how to make use of all the good qualities of you, come and bluff you from head to bottom. This advice was given by the Buddha in Dhammapada. He said, riches destroy the fools, but not wise people. If you are wealthy but foolish, your wealth can ruin your life also. If you are wise, you can promote, you can develop. Here again, the Buddha's advice. How to make use of your wealth, your property, by considering or with your understanding, act wisely. When it is necessary to give, yes, give. When you come to know that others try to come and bluff you, swindle you, then you must know how to behave. If you are very generous, you say, no, my duty is to give. Whenever people come and ask, I give something. No, that attitude doesn't work. You tolerate everything. But you have to tolerate with understanding, not like a fool. People come and tolerate, disturb you, accuse you, blame you, swindle you, and you keep quiet and tolerate. Then all the others take the advantage of this attitude. You have to stand firmly. There were many occasions the Buddha had to stand firmly. So the Buddha was not a yes man for everything. So this technique is very important. In the name of religion, don't misuse your patience and your tolerance, your generosity and this and that. Act wisely. That is very important. Samajivikata. Then again he says, you must know your income. By knowing, you have to adjust your expenditure. 4 advices. Work hard without wasting your valuable time. Try to protect what you have earned without wasting, without neglecting. You must know how to work with others, associate with others wisely, not foolishly. And you must know how to balance your income and expenditure. Then you can lead a peaceful, worldly life. This is not a religious life. This is a worldly life. But you are not going against religious principles. Again, another 4 kinds of advices. He says, we experience 4 kinds of worldly happiness in our life. I am repeating all these things. More than 100 times I think I have mentioned this. But there are newcomers always. Atti sukha, bhoga sukha, anana sukha, anavajya sukha. 4 kinds of happiness we experience. Again, when you consider about craving, you can ask, is it not contradicting when the Buddha says like this? When you come to know that you have something, you have accumulated something, either money or lands or property or jewelry or house, you have something. When you think of that, you experience some sort of happiness. Who says this? The Buddha. Because without this, you feel insecurity and no hope, no confidence. Under certain obligations, you have to bow down to others. If you have something, you have that courage. I have something. That gives happiness. Then bhoga sukha. After earning, accumulating, don't go on dumping and accumulating without enjoying your life. This is another wrong attitude. Because there are some who are very stingy to spend, to have nice dress, nice food, to build a nice house, and to fulfill certain duties. They go on collecting. They are not very fortunate people. They experience only that happiness. Only one happiness. But those who know how to use their own property to experience worldly pleasure also gain happiness without depending on others' things. You spend your own income. As I mentioned earlier, when you experience your worldly pleasure, to indulge all your senses, you have to do that without violating, without disturbing, without adopting any immoral method. So you can have a very normal life. So that means, as Buddhist, there is no reason for you to suffer or torture your life, your body. You can lead a normal, respectable life. Then the third one is anana sukha. Now this is also very important advice. You must know how to enjoy your life a spirit without depending on others. That means without borrowing from others. There may be certain occasion, in the case of sickness or some troubles or death, you haven't got enough. Then you had to go and borrow. Other than that, you should not borrow to enjoy your life. That is the wrong attitude. You go and borrow from others for gambling, for drinking, or for some other immoral practices. Then you cannot raise up your head as a respectable man, always down. You cannot see others face to face. You have no self-confidence, no self-respect. Try to maintain your life without borrowing from others. Last one. Anavajya Sukha. This is the last one. Last one. Anavajya Sukha. This is the last one. The happiness that we maintain, thinking I have property, after your death, you cannot experience that happiness. Impossible. You may think you gain. It doesn't work. And the way how you enjoy by using your own income, after your death, cannot give any kind of happiness. Again, thinking that you have not borrowed anything from others also, as long as you live, but after your death there is nothing. But this happiness, last one, Anavajya Sukha, we experience happiness as long as we live and hereafter. That means in the next life. This is the beauty in this happiness. In Dhammapada, I think you can remember what the Buddha said. Idha nandati, pecca nandati. Kata punyo, one who has done meritorious deed, good deeds, or some service to others, experience happiness either here in this world, pecca, hereafter, in the next life. Experience happiness. Sometimes more happiness hereafter. That is what the Buddha says. Anavajya Sukha is very important for us to live, for us to die peacefully. We cannot die peacefully by thinking how we enjoyed our life. We cannot die peacefully thinking I have so many millions in the bank. But we can die peacefully if we can maintain this happiness. Anavajya. What is that? Without any guilty conscience in our mind. That means we have not done any harm, damages to others. We have not bluffed or swindled or disturbed others. We have not destroyed others. That is called Anavajya Sukha. So this happiness is higher than all the other happiness. Mind is very pure. Can die peacefully with confidence. There is nothing to worry. Thinking what will happen to me after my death. No such worries. I have told you a story. No, I think this is the 10th time I am revealing this. But let us repeat. If I ask this, I am sure you cannot tell me. That's why I want to repeat. A letter I received from Australia, from Australian gentleman, very old man, a Buddhist scholar, Mr. David Morris. He has written many Buddhist books. He was a Buddhist scholar. He visited here twice when he was in Burma, but he died in Australia. So one day I received a letter from him saying, Reverend Sir, I think you will be very happy to know that I died today. Then he went on explaining why. So what he has done actually is written all these letters earlier and asked somebody to put the date and post after his death. He says, I have been suffering from a very painful sickness for the last 6 years. Cancer. My age is 85. I can understand how I suffered. But after this death, I will be free from this pain. This is one of the reasons why you should be happy. Second reason, ever since after becoming a Buddhist, I tried my best not to violate the 5 precepts. Try to uphold. Therefore, I have confidence. After my death, my next existence, next life cannot become a miserable one. This is the second reason why you should be happy. See the way how understanding people define the death. He could manage to die with happiness in his mind by thinking about his future. But many others die with pain in their mind, uncertainty, suspicion, worries, thinking what will happen to them after they are dead. Here the Buddha says, we have to adjust our way of life to experience this happiness when we think, we have not done any harm to anybody. We lead the innocent life. That is the real meaning of innocent, harmless. That is respectable life. Then happiness naturally appear in the mind. Then not scared of death. If death come at any time, we can accept it. We are scared of death because we do not know what will happen to us after our death. Otherwise, there is no reason for us to go and hide when the death come and call us. Shakespeare has mentioned this in his poems. One of the poems, he says, if death is natural, if we cannot avoid, when it comes, why not let it come? Why worry about that? They are talking Buddhism. I remember there was another incident. There was a very loving couple in the West. Wife has been suffering from a serious sickness. They loved each other very well, very much. One day, the wife died. The husband knows how to play musical instrument. When she died, what he did, he done it beside the dead body and started playing this violin, singing and playing this. Then some of his relatives and friends came. The dead body is there, the wife's dead body. This stupid man is singing and playing music. Then they asked, what is wrong with you? Oh, I am very happy. Because I have seen how my wife suffered for so many years. Now she is completely free from that suffering. That is why I am happy. See the way how they define. So crying is not the solution for that. So we have discussed many things to wipe out certain misconceptions we have about this craving. Then necessities and extraordinary craving are two things. Even the monks and nuns who have renounced their worldly life, also they have different kind of craving. But their cravings differ from the worldly type of craving. They have to gain their needs, their requisite necessities. They must have food, they must have clothing, they must have medicine, they must have lodging, a shelter, requisite. So they can have any kind of food, whether rich or poor. They can have nice dress, of course there are certain systems, cannot go beyond that. And they can have any shelter, whether it is a palace or a hut, mud hut, makes no difference to them. They regard this as a shelter, that's all. But they should not develop craving towards this building or palace or mud huts. There's a story in Dhammapada stories. A monk who received a very beautiful robe. You know, those days robes are very, very rare. Even once a year also the monks won't get a single robe because they have no machineries. And this is a very beautiful robe. He was not an arahant, ordinary monk, but he was very anxiously waiting to wear this one next day. And he craved so much for this robe. Unfortunately, due to certain, maybe heart attack or something like that, he died the same night. And his craving was so grave toward this robe, and rebirth has taken place as an insect in the robe. So some other monks wanted to take this and wash, because it belonged to a dead monk. So they wanted to wash this. The Buddha knew, he is the only one who knew this. He said, you should not wash this robe for 1 week. Keep for 1 week. After 1 week, you can wash. Because that insect can survive only for 1 week. After 7 days, the Buddha said, okay, now you can wash. Those monks do not know what is the secret. Later, the Buddha revealed the secret. Although he was a monk, he might have accumulated a lot of merits, but that minor thing which disturbed the mind, developed so much of attachment and craving, polluted the mind at the dying moment. And rebirth has taken. But he has not lost all the other merits, remains. And after that, rebirth has taken place in a fortunate state. But if that life, assume, he has become a tiger or a python, there he develop again more and more bad things. Then it will take long time for him to come back to experience the good result, still remain there. And this is the uncertainty of our worldly life. So when we reduce this craving for anything, even for food also, craving is wrong. The Buddha says to the monks, when they eat their food, they should not think, oh, we eat this food to develop our muscles and sinews and beautify, to maintain good complexions and this and that. No, then you are wrong. You develop craving. You have to think, I am taking this food just to sustain, to maintain my physical body, to carry on my noble religious life, to do some service. Then no craving there. See, this is the way how we have to curtail or to reduce our craving for, and even in your case, although you are not monk, when you eat durian, you must say, I say, very nice lah. Not necessary to say you enjoy the taste. Don't develop too much of attachment toward this, not necessary. So, now you have learned, for our necessities, for our living, we need so many things. But today, we have adopted so many extra gadgets. But those things also have become necessities. Now take, for instance, your television, your aircon, and various other electronic gadgets at home. Today, people do not regard as luxuries things, but everybody regards these things as necessities for easy life. You can make use of them without developing too much of attachment towards them. Then you are exempted from that type of craving, regard as necessities. Then the danger point is this: when you develop your craving towards others' property, then you have broken. You must know your limit. Don't crave for others. Don't try to bluff or swindle. Then you are not violating this principle. Later, after experiencing or having seen the real nature or the responsibilities or the problems and difficulties, disturbances, then you can reduce. You can reduce slowly. Don't throw away at once. Because nowadays you cannot trust your children also. You can hand over everything to your children, they may waste. If they get things very easily, they spend and waste. If not, they may neglect you, they run away. Some are very ungrateful. So you have to act wisely. You have to prepare your last will also wisely. And you have to hand over your property also by considering very carefully. When you grow old, when you are sick, when you are in trouble, you must have something. You have to arrange in such a way to carry on the rest of your life without begging, without asking, even from your children, if possible. Then you can give in charity. Charity also you have to do wisely. Don't give away everything. There is a story in Dhammananda. A young lady who was married to another young man came home to deliver the first baby. After a few months, when she wanted to go to her husband, mother prepared some cake to her family. So meanwhile, the husband, he was alone, I don't know how many months now, without his wife, he sent a message asking the wife to go back immediately. And the wife said, I cannot go immediately because my mother is preparing some cake. I have to wait at least 1 or 2 days. So she prepared some cake. That day, a group of monks visited that house for Pindapata. So she was so pious, so religious. She offered everything to this monk. So that poor lady could not go back. That man was impatient now. He sent the second message, if you don't come home, I'm going to get another wife. Then immediately she also cannot go without anything, that is their custom. Prepare some more. Next day, when the other monks also got news, that lady prepared a very nice cake, the more monks came to this house. And this day also she had to offer everything. Could not go. Delayed for a few days. Later, she came to know husband could manage to get another wife. Now she lost everything. Now she was thinking, this young lady, because of these monks, I have lost my husband. Then she started to hate the monks. I don't want to see monks anymore. So this situation was very dangerous. She was spreading this news everywhere. These monks are very dangerous, The Buddha visited this house, talked to them, and found out their problems and difficulties. Then approached the king and handed over this young lady to the king to look after this young lady and the child. After that she was more happy. Because of the Buddha, she could manage to lead a peaceful, happy, prosperous life, if not. So after that, the Buddha gave a warning to the monk. There may be some devotees who are very generous, very religious, who want to donate, who want to contribute everything. But when you accepting, you also must consider whether they can afford to give so much, whether they are giving away everything what they have. So gave this advice. I remember 35 years ago, one of our members, not only one, two, approached me. One lady and one old man. I got fed up with my children. They are very ungrateful. I have property. I have house. I don't want to hand over to them. I want to donate my land, my house to the temple. Came and told me. Then I told him, you have to think twice. Whether they are grateful or ungrateful, they are your children. And they may curse you. And others also curse you, complain, accuse you. And they may blame the temple also. So we are not ready to accept this kind of property. Later, when they were normal, handed over to the children. This is the advice given by the Buddha. Don't take the advantage, because some people are very emotional. They, I want to donate everything to the temple. But we have to consider very carefully. Otherwise they get into trouble later. The other day I told you another story about Australian gentleman. Yes, I think enough, isn't it? So next Friday, next Friday, no more talk here. Otherwise very interesting subject. What is this? Music and dance gives happiness to man. what is the Buddhist attitude towards all these entertainment? Whether going to entertain or reject. Related to the same subject. So the next Friday there will be a religious dialogue in Wisma Buddhist Old Klang Road, 7 p.m. Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism. Reverend Kimben coming from Malacca and another reverend from here, two, Theravada and Mahayana. So invited all is bring your friends and inform them. Because there are a lot of misunderstanding, wrong concept about these two schools of Buddhism. So we can discuss and in English and Mandarin, both.